So let me just dig a little deeper on that. So you moved here in 2015. You were trying to figure out what you should do with the app, and during that time, you're going to a lot of networking events, and trying to connect with people and also investors.
Yeah, so I was meeting investors during events.
Okay.
And I was also trying to meet investors in India for my video app.
Got it.
And through them, some investors here. But then the biggest realization was that this idea is not worth exploring because we might, this is like a very competitive space.
Mm-hmm.
Then I, went back to India, and then we were kind of discussing what to do next. So before coming to US again in 2016, we decided that let's start exploring more ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest challenge which I faced here was networking. So it was in our mind that we will do something related to networking.
Okay.
But what we didn't know.
Okay.
So I just came here in 2016,
Right.
just like that.
And what type of visa were you on at that time?
Business visa. Yeah.
Business visa. So you came to the US. You want to do something in the startup space, and you were like, not video because that's going to be killed by Facebook or Snapchat or Snap, and so you decided you want to do something in networking because that's a challenge you faced when you came here in 2015. How did you navigate the initial few months of 2016 as you were looking for an idea?
Yeah, so 2016, I actually came here in March 2016. The thing is, the good thing which happened between this was when I came to the US in 2015, I stayed here for 6 months, but then I wrote my whole experience about the difference in the ecosystem between India and Silicon Valley, and how we kind of tried to navigate the whole situation and also built a product and got good feedback on it. So I wrote a story on Medium, and then it got picked up by a lot of good blog posts in India. A lot of people read that, and I got some inbound interest from angel investors here in Silicon Valley. So when I went back to India, I knew that there are people here who want to invest just because of who I am and the story, not in any idea.
Right.
So when I came here, the first thing I did was closed a small round of funding.
Okay.
It was very less, like 70K, but it was
Okay.
pretty good for us because we were coming from India.
And what year? So was it March 2016 or a few months later?
So yeah, I came here in March 2016, and then we were able to close the round in April.
April?
2016, yeah.
And where was the company registered? Or did they write you a check and you didn't have a company account?
So we registered the company in the US.
Okay, so in Delaware,
Yeah.
C Corp normal.
Yeah, so we had a lot of good advice while I was doing all of this, that you should register the company first before moving, so that whenever someone is writing you a check, you have a company and all those things in place.
Right. And then you also had a company bank account?
Yes.
Or, okay, to deposit the checks. Sometimes people just get checks and they don't have company bank accounts to put in.
Yeah, fortunately we had a company before this, so we knew. And especially if you come from India, you know that all these things take time.
Right.
And when you come here and things don't take time, you suddenly have everything.
Right.
Within few weeks.
Right. Okay. So you came here in 2015, and then you wrote about that experience, and that got you some press, and investors got interested. So when they wrote you 70K checks, but when they were writing those checks, what did you tell them? What are you going to work on? Or did you tell them any idea, any?
Yeah, I showed them the video app.
Okay.
And most of them were like, we like you, and this product looks good, and your story is interesting, so I'm investing in you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so they invested 70K in the video app?
Yeah.
Initially? Okay. And so when you took that 70K and you then sort of sold or shuttered down the video app?
No, so they actually invested in our new video idea.
Okay.
The original iCouch idea, we actually had decided to.
So this was the video, the new one, the second
new video app. Yeah,
and
more like video sharing, social sharing.
Right. How long did that last for?
It was just like 3-4 months.
3-4 months. Okay. And so you are here on a business visa, and then EVA is even after that.
Yes.
EVA is a few months in July 2016.
Yeah. So during like May, June, during this time we were just exploring what to do. We had some cash. It was not a lot, but we had something. So
And this time, just to clarify, Satvik is not with you at this time.
So Satvik came.
Okay.
Actually, Satvik came after we got the money.
Okay.
So he came in 20.
Only after you got the
Yeah.
money. Okay.
So, yeah, because I mean, it was hard for two people to like come to Silicon Valley and survive.
Right.
So he came here in April. I came here in March 2016, and then we were exploring a lot of ideas, and gifting was one of the ideas because. We were like, okay, we want to build something related to like interpersonal relationships, and then gifting is like a critical piece of it. But then gifting, the whole space hasn't been disrupted.
Right.
So we kind of became very obsessed with the idea of gifting.
Right.
And then when we talk to people about disrupting video space versus disrupting gifting space, this was more exciting because video was already getting disrupted by so many people and so many companies.
So how did you sort of navigate to Eva's current version of the product?
Yeah, so our story is like very different because we were looking. So the pain point which we faced was, for example, I met you at an event, and after the event, I want to build a relationship with you, right? So after the event, I want to send you, say, a thank you gift. Right now, my challenge is I cannot send you a gift card. A gift card feels too impersonal, right? And ideally, I want to give you something which you like, right? So we came up with the idea that hey, in Silicon Valley, people have very different tastes for different things, right?
Really different tastes.
Very different tastes for like so. Even if you look at coffee, people are drinking different coffees,
right?
In India, there is just one coffee.
Right. It's coffee.
So I was like, if I want to give you coffee as a gift, I first need to understand what type of coffee you like.
Right.
Whether you like Starbucks, Blue Bottle or Fizz or some other brand.
Right.
And then how do you like your coffee with milk, without milk, with sugar, what, right?
Yeah, and it's just to sort of draw an analogy, like also in the US, there are like a lot of the coffee culture is bigger than in India. It's similar to music. There are a lot of smaller bands, and people like love their local bands, and they know all the music from those local bands. In India, Bollywood music is usually the most popular one, and people just know that there is nothing like very local about it. So in the US, people have very specific tastes in certain areas, especially in Silicon Valley. People are really obsessed with some of their products, coffee being one of them.
Yeah, right. And so the whole idea was, I know that anyone would either drink coffee, tea, beer, or wine.
Okay.
Everyone is going to drink either one of these things, right? So let's just start with, gifting personalized coffees, beers, and wines to people I'm meeting with. So the idea was simple. Initially, I used to meet people, and then the next day, we actually got a new mobile number, and then I used to text people with that mobile number saying that I am Rabi's gifting assistant. And like not gifting assistant, but just assistant.
Okay.
And then I used to text saying that hey, you just met Rabi yesterday, and he wishes to thank you for the advice you gave, and he also wants to give you a coffee as a gift.
Right.
What type of coffee you prefer? And I was not expecting any reply, right? But the trick that I was not asking questions as Rabi, but as assistant of Rabi, was very different, because in that scenario, most of the people thought that I'm not a real assistant, I'm a bot.
Right.
And almost
it
everyone,
it's funny, like it usually happens the other way. There is an actual person behind it. Like people claim that there is someone behind it, and that it's a bot, but there is someone else behind it. And in our case, it was the opposite.
The opposite. Even if they thought that maybe there is some person behind it, they thought that I'm using a service.
Got it. Okay.
Versus, I'm personally chatting. So they thought that this person is, of course, he will not have an assistant. So he's using a service to do this. So let me just reply.
Right.
So all these people replied, and then they start chatting with us, giving us all the answers like, oh, I like this coffee, I like that coffee, this is my address. I'm free tomorrow between 10 to 11. And then I used to go buy that coffee and then run to the person and give it to the person.
Right.
And then they were surprised. They were like, "Oh, it's you who is coming with the coffee."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes." And what made you answer all the questions?
Right.
And they all said, "I didn't know that it was you. I thought it was a bot." And so this whole idea that came around that time was, we as humans, we are more comfortable sharing our desires with machines or bots versus other humans. And especially in scenarios like this where it's a very awkward conversation. So the idea that I was able to give someone something personal, personalized without knowing the person, right, using a machine or a bot, was very exciting. So we did this with like 100 people from from June till say September.
Right.
We did this with a lot of people, and then I actually gifted to Adam Draper from Boost VC, and then he was like, "Hey, why don't you join our next batch?" So they were like the first real investors who came for EvaBot.
Got it.
And then of course there were a lot of people who got gifts from us. Were like, "If you're starting this company, we also want to use your product."
Right.
And that's how we got some initial customers, who started testing the product.